How's it going, guys? It's Burgas here and welcome to another Call of Dragons video. Today we're going to talk about the early mage trap. Yeah, that's right. You heard the early mage trap. Now, the early mage trap most players realize too late, and to be fair, I'm one of those players. I enter in this trap. Now, the safe class that quietly slows your account down. One of the craziest things that I see in Call of Dragon is that the class most beginners feel safe playing can quietly become one of the worst long-term progression paths. Now, I don't want to be that brutal with the mages, but I'm going to share with you my pain in this video. Mages feels amazing early because nothing punish you immediately. And this is there's reasons for this. Mages are having very far range. It's just the troop that is shooting from a distance and from the safe place. Let's say it like this. You stay far away, you hit with big AoE damage, and to be fair, in Season 1 you have Lilia, you have Velen, you have Waldir. This is 3 AoE damage dealers. And I'm saying also Waldir because some people are going to say, but why you Waldir saying Waldir? Because Waldir is doing 700 damage factor and is 4 legions, no diffused damage. No diffused damage. If you check it out, Velen, for example, is doing 1.2, but is having diffused damage. This is reducing by 50% if he hit 3 legions. So 50% from 1.2k is 600. He is doing even less damage from Waldir. But anyway, this is not exactly the topic I want to go in deep. I just want to say that at the beginning, you're armed with 3 AoE mages and you can use Thea. Waldir, Velen, Lilia, Thea. Perfect. From there, people are, even WoW spenders, mid spenders, free-to-play players can go Waldir with Velen, by the way. I start thinking that maybe this is the right path. And we was experienced that for so much time back in the days. For seasons and seasons and seasons. Because there is nothing that can beat the Mage bow. But from the end of Generation 3, beginning of Generation 4, things changed drastically. I can even say from Goresh Skogo appearance. So you have Sindri Frygar, Forundio, Theodore, and then I think it comes the infantry heroes. Things start from there. Things start to switch a little till these days. Now the dangerous part is some accounts already start failing behind were still feeling strong. And one of those accounts is mine account. Yeah, that's correct. Is something that people may not exactly understand fully. I have like 158 million power. I have a lot of free healing, but what is my problem? Why I'm saying that? So, why so many players start mages? Let's start from there. Let's start from the beginning. The logic sound completely wins the bow. Initially, mages are easiest to control, safer in open fields, and less punishing mechanically. It's way more hard to punish a mage, especially if the mage got her together. Now, if it's like a mage that is going to the battlefield or going back from battlefield, you can strike them with cavalry, but in general it's easier to control, safer in open field, and less punishing mechanically. Lilia and Velen feels powerful because range creates emotional comfort. Now, we all know that if you're hitting from a distance, for example, you're in the choke point and you're with your mages, you know there is no chance for the enemy to catch your mages, okay? Things with the marksman are a little more different because there can be some blink play involved to catch your marksmans. But in general, mages are not like this. Mages are having this emotional comfort that you're shooting from a distance. What fascinates me later was realizing comfort and progression are not always the same thing. Now let's talk about something else. The false signal that bite new players. Now, damage screenshots completely destroy how players evaluate value. And the best reports you're going to see in the season 1, maybe it can be from cavalry, but it's going to be extremely hard to be achieved with cavalry, especially if you already have builded mage bow. So from where is going to come the other reports? It's not going to be from infantry. Madeline, Garwood, Eliana, this is meat shields, okay? Marksmans, Kinara, Hosk, Kinara, Nico, Kinara, it don't matter. Still, you're not going to get some crazy reports. It's going to be even negative report because you're going to be vulnerable as a marksman to Lilia Velen. The only legion that can bring you crazy reports in the season 1 is going to be Lilia Velen. Period. Lilia Velen. The heroes are still, the infantry are still not having that much counterattack. The heroes that are providing this counterattack like Goresh, like Kuma and etc. are not in the game so far in the season 1. And you're hitting mid-shield infantry, some marksmen who decide to play marksman, and you start seeing some crazy report, Lilia Velen report, which create this false evaluation. I can say it like this. It's just false feeling that this legion is an end game playing legion. I'm going to say a couple words. Lilia Velen is not good for the end game because it's way too aggressive. It takes way too much counterattack. That means he's dying way more faster. Lilia Te is way better. Now new players see giant AoE numbers and think the class must be scaling well. Especially with Lilia. Lilia, first of all, is going to do the damage. And after this is having... if she's awakened, is having this 50% chance to apply Scorch. Now, if you hit like 3 legions, 50% chance, you may get 1 or 2 legions with a Scorch. So from there, you still see that the damage continue of the Lilia. And to be fair, it's continuing for 5 seconds, every second 200 damage. So it's very solid AoE damage dealer, Lilia, at the end of the day. But battlefield value and account development are not identical systems. One of the weird things in Call of Dragons is that visible impact can weak progression foundation. Now, why range creates the illusion of strange? And to be fair, it's an illusion. Maybe in the choke points it's not actually an illusion, and you can hold choke points with the range legions. But in open field, choke point is also open field. But in general, in open field where you can get struck from the different directions, where it's like 80-90% from the fights, you definitely feeling the mages as a strong one is not the best approach in this thing. Now, why actually they create this illusion of strange? Mage survive by positioning, distance, and chaos around them. Early game fights are messy, so range damage feels dominant. And it's true. I mean, the early fights, you're going to see that mages are going to be dominant force. At the end of this video, I'm also going to share my personal problems with the mages and why, for me personally, the mages are little like a bite, and why I little regret right now having mages, but we're going to go there. The problem starts later when organized kingdoms punish positioning mistakes harder. Suddenly the safe quests start depending on strong frontline support. If you're not having infantry, you're dead as a mage. Better artifacts. If you don't have strong artifacts, you're not doing damage. Better pets. If you don't have better pets, you're not doing damage. And better war environment. If you don't have good condition where the players are stuck at, so you can benefit from AoE damage, you're not doing damage. So you see the things how change with the time at the end of the day. Now why smaller kingdoms change everything? Now this is where the conversation become uncomfortable. Mage scales differently depending on the kingdom quality. In weak or smaller kingdoms, your frontline co-ops faster because you're just not having that many players that is going to send some cavalry in the front lines. And the moment the infantry in the front lines. And the moment those infantry co-ops, you leave it alone. I mean, there is no front line. And from there actually come the problem. And once the front line disappeared, the mage account suddenly feels exposed, expensive, and awkward. If there is no infantry, they can basically just do a cavalry. They can gather decent amount of cavalry and just strike you if there is no infantry to protect you. So in the big kingdoms, I can agree that there is going to be decent front line, but in the small kingdoms, I don't think you're going to have massive front line. Because in the small kingdoms, the majority of the cases is going to be majority of the people is going to be mages. In the big kingdoms, where it's whales and krakens, they play more infantry and cavalry. But the small one are playing majority of the cases mages. Now, why infantry and cavalry are differently, aged differently? Why is that? Why I want to be a cavalry right now? Now, infantry and cavalry often feels less exciting early. Especially if you have to go with the Madeline. Where is this hero? I actually take out... I actually awake Madeline, to be fair. Yeah. You see? It's awakened. That's exactly why many players skip them, because they're boring, they're not exciting, they're not doing crazy like the mages. We're talking about the infantry and cavalry. But stable investments usually feel weaker initially because their value appear later through uptime, flexibility, objective pressure, and survivability. And what I'm trying to say is right now, you just send Goresh with Kuma. It can be, or Kuma with Goresh. It can be, you just send them and you get decent amount of merits. You just send them to fight. The other good legion is Ewanir. This is actually the new heroes. Is Ewanir in combination with Joran, with the artifact. I mean, this is also very nice, well-built legion. Or you can go Kuma with one of these new heroes and use Goresh with Skogo. I mean, there is a lot of combination you can do with infantry. Cavalry, there the combinations are even more. That's why at the beginning, maybe the cavalry is actually interesting at the beginning. But later, the mages feel powerful fast. Tanks and cavalry often become powerful slowly. And this is at the, at the end or late game. Let's say it like this. When the game finally starts. I mean, here's the thing. When you start playing with mages. slowly the things shift in cavalry and infantry. And what is my problem right now? My problem is I have mages, example artifacts, I can say so pets, all of them awakened, example artifacts, where is the other one? Example artifacts, and all these things I have for the mages. But in same time, I wish my mages was actually a cavalry, so I can do more, fight more, and actually spend the healing I'm having from my hospitals. Every day I have 1.3 million. I'm still, in the progress of the policy, so it's not fully developed. But here I still miss like extra 50k, 50k free healing. Here I miss like extra 2%. Actually 3% elixir production speed. I mean, I'm like 1.3k free healing. If I go with cavalry, I can spend them very fast with some good traits. But with mages, I have to fight 2-3 hours. At least. And it's not sure I'm going to spend all of my elixirs. It is what it is. So this is the issue I have right now. I have resources, I have free healing, but I have the troop mages that is generating merits the most slow way. Now the mages are the most efficient one in form of trades. But sometimes when you hit decent power, you want to play with other troops that are just more faster from point of fighting. And yeah, just want to say a couple words over the mage trap that I enter in, and this is starting with mages, and then having strong account, a lot of troops, but having the troop that is having the lowest the most slow generating merits, let's say it like this. And these days merits is everything. I mean, you can get some pet skills, you can get teleports, you can get elixirs, regenerational potions, all these things you can get them with merits. On top of that, right now we're having this Dragon Abyss inside the store. Everything is with merits. On top of that, you were having this way of sea hole. Inside this one, everything is bought with merits. So merits is becoming a currency that you just cannot ignore. Okay, you just cannot ignore. But yeah, it's actually hard to be get it. Anyway, this will be for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit one like, it support the video, and become a member if you want to support my channel. I wish you a great day. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next video.